it's really, really important for us in our project to talk about language, and in particular the word poverty was a really sort of something that we really thought about really long and hard. And I think that we came to lots of different decisions and went through a whole process, and actually decided that we were going to use it, because I think that there is power almost in saying the words poverty and in breaking the stigma of poverty and what poverty looks like in the UK.
You're absolutely right. Poverty has been a word in the UK that people have tried to brush under the carpet and come up with really creative ways and long sentences to explain something that just needs to be one word. It is an issue, it is a problem. We've seen for ages that it's been for generally a small period of time, like a period of hardship. But when you look at the dynamics of that particular hardship, it is nothing short of poverty. And it's the best way to explain it. The only way to get around the stigma of using that word is to continue using it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, there is a definition. There are two definitions around poverty: absolute and relative. So you know, it is a word that has a definition that describes what you know, maybe what you need to look at from a data perspective. But it's important that we use terms and phrases that people feel comfortable with. And some people could absolutely describe themselves as being in poverty and will use the P word. And other people will call themselves, you know, in hardship or in low income or struggling, just struggling to get by, you know. But understand that all those phrases mean the same thing. That it is that they are experiencing poverty. And I think language is really important to understand some of that, and maybe from a data perspective, you know, poverty is harsh and the data tells us some really harsh figures. But for some people who are experiencing it, there are some really positives within poverty, and that can be around the sense of community that people experience, where a whole community maybe is experiencing poverty, but because they're all in the same situation, there's a lot of camaraderie, there's a lot of support. It doesn't change the situation, it doesn't change the data, but you know, there is a lot of support within individual communities for each other as well. And that's also something that would be really good to, you know, capture and learn about, and how do we look at that asset, and how do we support that asset, and how do we work with those communities to, you know, to bring about change. So I think there's positives within it that we can utilise to help change the effects of poverty.
And that community spirit is something that is so valuable as well, and is actually understanding that these people live in, you know, maybe some quite hard situations, but actually, like you say, that sense of community is really, really important for them. And what are your thoughts, Joey?
Well, this is it. Hardship alone is a completely different ballgame to hardship within a community. If you're part of something, you know, it can be a small village or, you know, a smaller suburb of a town, but you're all working together. You know that you have doors to knock on, you know, calls you can make. It makes a lot of difference to how you start your day and how you feel about within yourself and how you are going to make it through each month, knowing that there are people there. Whereas hardship alone, you imagine someone who's on their own, they've got no access to signposting or don't know about it. This is where we see things like suicide and stuff like that come up, because people just don't know how to fight their way out of it. You know, kind of we're at the moment trying to help people, bring people on the outside into their communities with signposting them to coffee mornings and meetups like that, because it's environments like that ultimately will get people talking and then get people seeking out services or hearing about services that can help. So a real plus. Having people to talk to or having people to go to is definitely the way forward. Yeah.
And in those conversations, it's really helpful to understand the terms that people do use. So, you know, I know through the work that you've both been doing that people recognise the term poverty, want to use the term poverty, and that's actually an element of empowerment for them because they're owning it, they're trying to reduce that stigma. But it's also, I think, us capturing all those different words that people use to describe poverty, because for services on the front line, there, you know, it's important that there's a shared understanding of what all those different terms mean, so that we can identify when someone's experiencing poverty, so we can make sure that they are getting the support that they need. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that do come to services or to trusted partners who are experiencing poverty, maybe don't use the language or the terminology, and maybe opportunities are not being presented to them about what support they can receive, because they haven't used a language or a common language that we all understand to mean poverty. So language is going to be really, really important as part of this to ensure that people are given the support that they need and the advice that they need.
I think in this area is really we're really lucky in this area to have such amazing support. We've got amazing support networks and voluntary communities and different businesses that really want to help this situation. We've got like community cuppers and the Rural Coffee Caravan that just provide a warm space for people to go sit and have a chat, and I think that that's really, really important for people, and bringing people together, especially in those rural communities which they don't often see, which is what the Rural Coffee Caravan does. They go out and they see different areas, and I think that is...
That's it. Sometimes areas without a shop, without any amenities, and that might be the only time they get together with other people, you know. And so it's I mean, I've seen it in work, and it's a very special thing.